Hello and welcome my dear students to our very introductory class on language and linguistics. We are beginning with a new paper today. So this is our very initial class. We can directly plunge into the major topics. You have to get accustomed to certain major terms in the paper language and linguistics. So first, let's familiarize ourselves with certain terms that you're supposed to know when you're learning this paper. Again, I welcome you all to our class on language and linguistics. Let's get started. First and foremost, we should know what is language, what is linguistics. We have to define these terms. So, by the way, what is language? Here is the definition. Language is defined as a means of communication. It is a method or a way of communication. What is communication? Communication is an activity in which information is transferred from one system to another. It may not be always information. It can be emotions, feelings, attitudes and many other elements. So that is communication. Language is a social behavior, and as social beings and as a social animal, human beings tend to socialize. They have to interact, they have to mingle, and they have to connect with other groups of people, other men. Here when I mention the words man and he, it becomes humanity in general, human beings in general. Coming to linguistics. Linguistics is defined as a scientific study of language. Since it is a scientific study of language, linguistics obviously deals with language. Linguistics, the word linguistics, originates from the Latin word lingua, which means tongue. So, lingua means tongue. Linguistics can be understood as a science in general and specific terms. Linguistics is objective. That is, it considers all language to be equal. It is basically an empirical discipline. It follows the canons of science, meaning that it is consistent. Now, I told you certain terms. Let me clarify those. Linguistics is objective. You have come across this word objective. Objective means there is nothing of your personal evaluation involved. It is clear, it is as it is factual. So, objective is factual without any contribution of your personal evaluation. Then it is empirical. Empirical is based on experiments or experience. Experiments and experience. It follows the canons of science, means it follows the rules of science. Again, it is consistent, means it is agreeing, it is always agreeing, it has been the same way all throughout. That is consistent. Language and linguistics is a broad subject. I will be dealing with phonetics, that is module 2 phonetics of your language and linguistics paper. Since I am dealing with phonetics, let's define phonetics next. In linguistics, phonetics means the scientific study of speech sounds in all languages. It is a scientific study of speech sounds in all languages. That is, it deals with the production, transmission and reception of speech sounds in human speech. Production, you make speech sounds. Transmission, you pass or transfer. And reception, you receive those speech sounds. and it's related to human speech. Phonetics is derived from the Greek word phonetikos, which literally means uttering of sounds. So, phonetikos means uttering of sounds. Next, you should know what phonology is. The selection and organization of sounds in a particular language is phonology. That constitutes the phonology of the language. Selection, the picking or choosing. Organization, the arrangement. And the selection and organization of sounds in a particular language constitutes the phonology of that language. We can derive from the above statements that phonetics is a scientific study of speech sounds in all languages, whereas phonology is just the study of speech sounds in a particular language. Phonetics, scientific study. Phonology, just a study. Phonetics in all languages, phonology in a particular language. You should understand the difference. There are three branches of phonetics. First one, articulatory phonetics. Second one, acoustic phonetics. And third one, auditory phonetics. Let's see them one by one. Articulatory phonetics refers to production of speech sounds. Acoustic phonetics studies how speech sounds travels in air. Auditory phonetics studies speech sounds as they are received by the ear and how they are carried to the brain. So, articulatory, production of speech sounds, how you make sounds, that is articulation. When you say something, it is called articulation. So, it's production of speech sounds within ourselves. Acoustic, speech sounds and the air is involved, that is acoustic phonetics. Auditory, again speech sounds and ear is involved. Speech sounds, ear and the brain is involved because these speech sounds are received ultimately or finally by the brain. We will delve into phonetics with the organs of speech. So, the air we breathe out comes out of the lungs, and before it gets out into the atmosphere, various organs in our body convert it into speech sounds, and these organs are called organs of speech. In brief, we can say that the organs that work together to convert lung air into speech sounds are known as organs of speech. Let's get familiarized with speech organs. Speech organs, you can see the first one is nasal cavity. Nasal cavity is that part which begins from the nostrils, that is this space, this is nostrils, and it starts from the nostrils, it extends, as you can see the second one is here, actually it is over here, lips, this part opening. Then comes the teeth, third one, teeth here you can see, here, see pointed, this one and this one is the teeth. That is the third organ of speech. Then comes alveolar ridge. What is alveolar ridge? It is otherwise called teeth ridge, because alveolar or alveoli means that it is the socket of the teeth. It is a cavity of the teeth. It holds the teeth. So alveolar ridge, which is the fourth one, is here That is, this is your teeth and behind the teeth comes alveolar ridge. You can feel with your tongue. നമ്മൾ നാവുകൊണ്ട് പല്ലിൻ്റെ ഈ അപ്പർ ടീത്തിൻ്റെ ബാക്കിൽ ഫീൽ ചെയ്ത് നോക്കിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ യു ക്യാൻ അണ്ടർസ്റ്റാൻഡ് ദാറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് ഈവൻ, ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് അൺഈവൻ. ഇങ്ങനെ പല്ലിൻ്റെ ബാക്ക് ഭാഗമൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് ഫീൽ ചെയ്യും. സോ ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ദിസ് പാർട്ട്. ഫോർത്ത് വൺ, alveolar ridge. Okay, then comes fifth one here. This is hard palate. Again, feel with your tongue. Teeth ridge കഴിഞ്ഞ് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഒന്ന് ഫീൽ ചെയ്ത് നോക്കൂ. You can find a hard part here. It extends from this part till here. Hard part. Then comes velum or the soft palate. This side, sixth one. ഇത് കണ്ടോ? So behind the hard palate comes the soft palate. Again, feel with your tongue and find that it is soft over there. After that comes the seventh one here. Uvula. Uvula നമ്മൾ ചെറുനാവ് എന്നൊക്കെ പറയും. It hangs from behind your from behind your throat. You can see that it hangs there. After the soft palate comes uvula over here. It hangs here. When you open your mouth and scream, you can find that it hangs there. Okay. Then comes the eighth one. Eighth one is the blade of the tongue here. Blade of tongue is not actually tip of the tongue. നാവിൻ്റെ അറ്റല്ല, അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് തൊട്ട് പിന്നിൽ വരുന്നതാണ് here. The blade of the tongue. Okay. Then comes the ninth one here, the front portion of the tongue, front of the tongue. Then the 10th one, back of the tongue. Okay. Then comes the 11th one here, oral cavity, the space inside your mouth here. This is the oral cavity. Then comes the 12th one here, pharynx. What is pharynx? Pharynx comes behind your nose. That is throat, tonda. Pharynx is the throat. Then comes 13th one here, this portion. 13th one, it is the epiglottis. What is epiglottis? Epiglottis is a flap or a lid, or a covering aanu. And this flap, it covers your this part, trachea. It covers the opening of the trachea so that when you swallow food, നമ്മൾ ഭക്ഷണം ഇറക്കുമ്പോൾ ഈ ഭാഗത്ത് പോവാതിരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് കവർ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഫ്ലാപ്പ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ലിഡാണ് എപ്പിഗ്ലോട്ടിസ്. ഓക്കെ, it becomes depressed during swallowing food to cover the windpipe. This is the windpipe. This is the windpipe. This is the food pipe. ഇത് വിൻഡ് പൈപ്പും ഇത് ഫുഡ് പൈപ്പും ആണ്. നമ്മൾ ഭക്ഷണം ഇവിടെ നിന്ന് ഇങ്ങനെ ഇറക്കുമ്പോൾ ഇങ്ങോട്ട് പോവും. സോ ഇങ്ങോട്ട് പോകുമ്പോൾ ഇടയ്ക്ക് ഇവിടേക്ക് വീഴാതിരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് കവർ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഭാഗമാണ് എപ്പിഗ്ലോട്ടിസ്. സി നമ്പർ 13, ഇറ്റ് കവേഴ്സ് ദിസ് പാർട്ട്. നമ്മൾ ചിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ ഒക്കെ നമ്മൾ ഭക്ഷണം കഴിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ ചിരിക്കരുതെന്ന് പറയും. കാരണം ചിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ ഈ എപ്പിഗ്ലോട്ടിസ് മെല്ലെ ഓപ്പൺ ആവും. അപ്പോൾ ഇതിലേക്ക് പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ തൊണ്ടയിൽ ഭക്ഷണം കഴിക്കും. നമ്മൾ തെരുപ്പിൽ കയറുക, ഭക്ഷണം കഴിക്കുമ്പോൾ സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ തെരുപ്പിൽ കയറുക എന്നൊക്കെ പറയില്ലേ. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ദിസ് ഫിനോമിനൻ. So epiglottis is a lid or a flap which covers this part, windpipe. Then comes larynx. 14th one, larynx over here. Larynx. What is larynx? Larynx houses vocal cords. Vocal cord house ചെയ്യുന്ന സ്ഥലം, പൊസിഷൻ ചെയ്യുന്ന സ്ഥലമാണ് larynx. And it is the vocal cords are otherwise called voice box, and it is an air passage to the lungs. ഈ larynx ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, it is an air passage to the lungs also. Okay. Then comes 15th one here. This is the vocal cords. ഇതാണ് vocal cord. 15th one, vocal cords. vocal cords are tissue. A membranous tissue, it is a membrane or a tissue, and it vibrates in the airstream to produce voice. So vocal cords are tissues or membranous tissues which vibrates in the airstream to produce voice. Then comes here trachea, 16th one, trachea. This is the 16th one, trachea. Trachea is otherwise called windpipe. This one. Windpipe leads to the lungs. It goes to the lungs. Last one, or the 17th one here, it is this. It is esophagus. Esophagus is otherwise called food pipe, and it leads to the stomach. Food pipe leads to the stomach. So this is the windpipe which leads to the lung. The organs of speech can be divided into 3 systems. Let's see those systems one by one. First one, respiratory system. Second one, phonatory system. And the third one, articulatory system. The first system, that is the respiratory system, comprises lungs, muscles of the chest and the windpipe. The phonatory system comprises the larynx. And the articulatory system comprises the nose, the teeth, tongue, roof of the mouth and the lips. Respiratory system means a system with which you respire, with which you breathe. That is, for breathing you need this system. That's why it has or it comprises of lungs, muscles of the chest and windpipe. Windpipe is the trachea as we came across earlier. Phonatory system, phonetics, connected with speech sounds. This system comprises of larynx. Larynx is a position or place which houses the vocal cords. It's otherwise called voice box, and larynx is an air passage to the lungs. So that's why phonatory system comprises of the larynx. Articulatory system, the place with which you articulate. നമ്മൾ വർത്തമാനം പറയുന്നതിന് articulation എന്ന് പറയും. So articulatory system comprises the nose, teeth, tongue, roof of the mouth and lips, which means that the oral cavity is involved in the articulatory system. And here we come to the end of the session on language and linguistics and that small section called phonetics. So until our next class, goodbye.